we last worked together. So thanks for being here tonight. I know schedules are full. We've got a great agenda with some updates, and really looking forward to kick-starting this new year with some exciting things that the city and the Conservancy have planned for us as well as our community. And with that, we'll hand it over to Eric to provide the minutes.
Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having a great week. We're going to approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting on November 16th, and they were uploaded to the SharePoint site for your review. Before we approve the minutes, are there any questions or concerns from the committee?
That sounds like background noise.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so if anyone has any concerns, they can always put it in the comment section as well. We're going to move forward with approving them. Just do this. We're going to simplify it. So we're just going to ask if there's anyone who does not wish to approve them. So does anyone have any objections to approving the minutes? All right, great. The minutes have been approved. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eric. I am going to share my screen here, and I believe we... As Shauna mentioned, our agenda is fairly straightforward today. We have finally the intention to wrap up our staff introductions and our committee member introductions. But first, I'm going to ask Jay to give a brief report from the vice chair position on his and Shauna's involvement in the Plaza and Play public meeting number 2.
Thank you guys so much. So a couple weeks ago, we did have our second public meeting for the Plaza and Play section of the park. I hope many of you were able to join. If not, the recording, I believe, is available on YouTube and other places for you to watch. And during that meeting, we discussed a lot of things, including kind of the vision and the next steps for the Plaza and Play. Shauna gave an overview of the committee and also some of the focus groups and where we are and how people can stay engaged at this point. And then really talked about the aspirations for engagement, our goals for the project, and importance of engagement. There were about over 500 people that attended the public meeting virtually, which was a huge success. And in doing so, Kate was very excited. We had feedback from Apex to Zebulon. So we are able to say we had A to Z feedback on that work. So really great stuff. We'll continue to stay engaged and figure out how we can take voices from this committee out into the public. And as you all are hearing and learning about what your own circles of influence are saying about the project or various aspects, bringing it back to us and bringing it back to leadership committee so that we can lift it to the appropriate places to get the work really moving and address any concerns before we get too far along in any one process that we can't turn around. So without any other questions, I will turn it back over to Nick to go over staff introductions.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, Jay and Shauna were asked to actually help moderate the Q&A session at the end of this meeting and represented the community in that way. So thank y'all for doing that and taking the extra time. That we are actually going to share the link for that YouTube recording in our recap email from this meeting. We do encourage y'all, if you have the time, and I can even pull out the specific pieces of the leadership committee meeting that relate to Plaza and Play, so you have those. The design for that continues to be developed. And we want to make sure that this group is up to date, that you feel comfortable with the information to share it with your community. And we also will bring the next update to this committee in our following meeting that's going to happen to be scheduled, but it will most likely be the end of March, early April. And that's going to preview our public meeting 3 for the Plaza and Play project. So more information to come there, but just wanted to remind everyone that those resources exist for those interested to dive in, and we really hope you'll stay involved in that project as well. I'm gonna pass it off to Kate, who's gonna kick off our staff introductions.
Hey everyone, it's great to see y'all. First, I just want to say welcome back, Nick. Nick is now a dad, which is very exciting. So you haven't seen him since the last meeting. So welcome back to Nick. This is day 2. I'm surprised he remembered how to use Zoom. So we're glad that he's back with us. I did want to take a moment and just let everyone know there's been some exciting changes at the Conservancy, and Janet Cowell, who has joined us tonight, has assumed the position of President and CEO of the Dix Park Conservancy. Janet has a long, successful history of working in both the public and private sector, and we're very excited about her leadership and what she's going to bring to the group. So Janet, I just wanted to give you a few minutes to say hello, say a few things, and then we can introduce the rest of the team after that.
Thank you, Kate, and thanks, Nick, and really just thanks to all of you for serving on this Citizen Advisory Commission. I know some of you, I was trolling all of your LinkedIns before this, so look in there, you've got invites from me. But I mean, some of you must sit on 6 committees for Dix. I mean, Sarah Reeves, Myra Coward, you know, there's so many of you. And then I was also just, it's great to see like Charlie Leffler, who I haven't talked to in a long time, and then some faces that are new. So really just thank you for all the work. I'm sure many of you were on master plan and are doing many things for Dorothea Dix Park. So I look forward to working with you, and I'm pretty easy to find. So if you have specific thoughts or want to connect, I mean, obviously there's a lot of folks, and I will say it's all these conversations are so fun. I had a conversation with Myrick on Friday afternoon, which was fabulous and inspiring. And it's like everybody I talk to, including even just IT support, is inspiring. So I look forward to spending more time with all of you and making progress on this. Kate, I guess I can introduce the rest of the staff. So we've got a lot of talented people at the Conservancy, and so we've got 3 on this call. Actually, Melissa Small said she might not make it, but then I saw her on the second screen there. So I'll just introduce all 3, and then you guys can jump in. But so Melissa does a lot of our financing and budgets, and she can introduce herself. We have Sinelsa Broderick, who joined us just in the spring during COVID. So unfortunately, she's been working virtually this entire time at the Conservancy, but she's doing a lot of the operations support for Dix Conservancy. And then finally, we have Anna Rodriguez, who does an amazing job keeping all of our all of our data organized, and does a lot of database and sort of outreach for community and fundraising. So that's Anna Rodriguez.
Melissa or Sinelsa or Anna, feel free to jump in and say hello. If not, we can start introducing some committee members, but wanted to give y'all some airtime if you'd like to say anything.
I just want to say it's a pleasure to join you all tonight. Thank you all for the hard work, and I'm just really excited to be a part of this project, and I get to work with all of you amazing people. So it's great to be here tonight.
Thanks, Inosa. Melissa, I see you're on here. Would you say hey?
I did say hey. Hi, everyone. So nice to be on this call with you guys. I'm sorry I'm in the car. Had to pick up my son. Nick, congratulations on the baby. And I'm excited to know everyone here more personally. My son said on the road. So I'm not driving. I'm being safe, I promise. So yes, I'm excited to be a part of this and all the great ideas that everyone has. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Melissa. Anna?
Anna, do you want to say anything? Or
Yeah, hi. I didn't mean to run away when you asked us to speak. I have a 2-year-old daughter with a cast on her leg screaming at me from the couch. So hopefully she gets that off tomorrow. I've been working with the Conservancy for 3 years. I'm sort of in the background, behind the scenes, doing our database management and tracking donations and making sure donors are thanked and acknowledged appropriately. And thanks for having me tonight. It's great to see all of these faces.
Thank you, Anna. I am now going to call on some members of the committee that have not introduced themselves. I'm not sure everybody's on today, but if you have not yet introduced yourself, we would love to hear from you. I can put on the screen if we need the general asks for y'all, but it's pretty simple. Your name, whether you're a new or returning member, and your excitement about being involved in this project. And we do have about 10 folks that I want to introduce. So I know I saw Brent earlier. Brent, you want to kick us off, and then I'll see if I can pick out some folks that are on the call today.
Sure. Thanks, Nick, and congrats. Hey, everyone. I'm Brent Francis. I'm a returning member, and my first real involvement was throwing a road race series through the park for the last 5 years. It got put off or on hold for this year, but we're going to make a return in 2021, hopefully. And yeah, just really active, and I'm just really excited to be a part and continue things. So look forward to meeting you all.
Thanks, Brent. I know we have a couple. Charles, I think I have on here Charles. Charles, have you introduced yourself to the committee yet?
I have. I think I went at like the first or second meeting, but
okay, maybe I mean Charlie. Charlie, have you introduced yourself?
I don't think that I have. I'm Charlie Leffler. I'm a returning member. I spent 31 years at NC State, retiring 5 years ago as the Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration. So I've kind of been involved with the Dix property since 1984, when the first allocations were made to NC State to start the Centennial campus. So I've been through an awful lot of gyrations of planning and starts and stops, and working with the city to try to help put it in the hands of the city who would care for the property. And Bill Pageant was a constant individual that was advocating early on in this whole thing. So I feel strongly that this is the right thing to be doing, and I'm doing everything I can to help that happen. And welcome, Janet. Glad to see you back in the mix.
Thanks, Charlie. I got a couple folks that are on the call, but not on video. If y'all are able to introduce yourselves on audio, that would be great. I think John's here. John, are you able to say hey?
Are you talking about John Johnston?
That's right. Yep.
Hey, everybody. I think I also may have introduced myself kind of in Q3 of last year, but I'm happy to go again. My name is John Johnston. I was a member of the Impact as well, returning to this group. Very, very excited. Dix Park was kind of a personal interest of mine professionally in my former role when I was at the Raleigh Chamber of Commerce. I've since moved on to a different role with a private firm. I work in construction now, so still very, very interested in just the development and the placemaking that will occur alongside Dix Park, not only in Raleigh, but in North Carolina as Dix Park develops. Probably most passionate for this project about the equity and the ability to connect this park to members of the state and the country that may not have had an opportunity to do that before, specifically here in our own community primarily. So equity is probably my focus and my biggest passion in terms of getting folks in the park and letting that be a respite to whatever ails them. The next passion part for me would just be watching the development occur, both internal and in the surrounding area. I think I already mentioned that. So those are really two of my focus areas. I'm excited to be back. I have enjoyed the process for the past, gosh, Kate, what is it? Almost 4 years now, I think, maybe even longer. And Nick, you too. I mean, I've gotten to know the staff there and it's just awesome. So Janet, we're super excited to have you on board. I don't think I may have actually met you in my former role at the chamber some years ago, but I look forward to reconnecting with everyone.
Thanks, Sean. I see Jenny. Hey, Jenny.
I turn that radio off. How's it going, everybody? Jenny Harper. I am a returning member, and I am really thrilled to be back. It's I love seeing everybody has such different backgrounds and a different interest in the park, and everybody is passionate about its future. And if I ever took it for granted before, which I didn't, I always knew it was a very special hidden gem. I, like all of you, have really come to appreciate it so much in the last year. It has always been our backyard, but it has really, really been our backyard because we have 0.12 acres for our 3 kids to run around on. So we love taking them out and running them like Bill takes Moss out to go run Moss. My background is in public relations, but I went back to graduate school to get a master's degree in historic preservation. And my focus and my interest in Dix started when I moved here in Raleigh 20 years ago and tried for several days to find the high promontory that I saw on all the shiny brochures of Raleigh that lured me here from Orlando, and saw that it was by the cemetery, and just really fell in love with it, and have enjoyed over the past 20 years seeing adaptive use projects for similar sites, these very sacred spaces that have been reinvigorated with a new mission, and look forward to getting to know all of y'all better and what's to come.
Thanks, Jenny. A couple other folks on the call, but not on video. Liana, are you with us this evening?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. How's it going, everyone? Congratulations to Nick on the news. That's amazing. My name is Liana. I'm a new member. I moved to Raleigh about like a year and a half ago, so I'm pretty new to the area. But I was fortunate enough to move into the neighborhood adjacent to the park. So from the very start, like I had like an immense interest in the park. And once I learned that there was a community committee, I was really excited and eager to join. It's been great hearing about all of the progress. If I hadn't joined this committee, I wouldn't have known about all of the plans that everyone is working on. And so far, this community, this park community has been like really great. And you guys all seem like really nice. I really enjoy visiting the park on a regular basis. And it's really exciting to see all of the changes that are happening, all of the projects that are starting. So thank you for having me.
Thanks, Liana. Happy to have you. Stephanie.
Hi there, how is everybody doing? My name is Stephanie. I'm a psychologist in the area, and I happen to work with folks with serious mental illness, which historically was served by the area that is now Dix Park. And my interest in this project I think comes from multiple facets of my life or aspects of who I am. So obviously when it comes to being someone involved in mental health treatment, my interest is in the extent to which this area might benefit the mental health of others or the well-being of others in the community. Obviously, also the extent to which this area might pay homage or respect to folks that I happen to work with now that historically were served by this area. In addition, I'm a longtime Raleigh resident, so I grew up in this area and then moved away for college and grad school. So I've had the opportunity to watch this area grow and transform. And so I'm fascinated by what this project can do for the community and in particular kind of the neighborhoods surrounding this park. I'm also a lover of parks, a lover of particularly kind of inner city parks, having traveled to like places like Central Park or Balboa Park in San Diego. And I think the opportunity that we have here in Raleigh with developing this area into Dix Park is just an incredible opportunity. So I'm so excited to be even but a small part of this experience, and in particular to work with such wonderful and talented people across various disciplines and contexts and communities. I just think it's an incredibly rich opportunity to develop this area, and excited to see what comes from it. Yep.
Thanks, Stephanie. Happy to have you. I know Nick Neptune has something to say. Nick, are you with us this evening?
Good evening, my friend, and congratulations. Very happy for you. I hope to be so lucky one day to have 1, 2, or maybe 5 kids of my own to bring to Dix Park here in the near future. Look, I think for the folks who are familiar, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this park, about this space. And so I'm going to keep it brief and just say that it means a lot to me to be a part of this project, to be a part of this committee, a part of this, this community that has this opportunity to not only have a conversation about the growth and development of Dix Park, but frankly, through it, also have a very active and deliberate conversation about the future of this city. The future of this park is, as we all know, deeply entangled and integrated into the future of our community. And being able to leverage that conversation to uplift and to celebrate a whole cast and crew of populations and peoples, it means a great deal to me. And so I'm looking forward to being a part of that process, a part of that conversation, and you know, down the road, a part of that action and activity through Dix Park and through this great city and this great state of ours. So thank you. It's great to be here with you, and I look forward to the conversation.
Thanks, Nick. Happy to have you. Ebony, if you're able to say hey real quick, I'd love to hear from you. If not, that's okay.
I'm here. I'm just driving. So I'm Ebony Haywood. I am from Raleigh, born and raised. I haven't left here. So I've been here for elementary through college and working. I moved a little bit to the outskirts recently, but was a part of the advisory board prior and got to know a lot of people and working with that group. And now I'm excited to be a part of the committee. I work in the security integration industry, and I'm a trainer or director of training for a security integrator here in a global one, but out of, you know, the area. And, you know, my kind of special space is education from being a former teacher and trainer. So for me, the park and why I want to be involved was just really to make sure to be a reminder that, you know, we want this to be a park for everybody and making sure that we're thinking outside the box, but also being inclusive and considering everybody when we're thinking about the park, whether it be, you know, providing education or, you know, making sure that we're thinking of all different groups, whether it's people coming from outskirts or inside the city. You know, one of the reasons I think it's important is to, you know, it's a place for everyone. So, you know, I'm excited to be a part and establish really great friendships and relationships with people. So I'm just happy to still be here and engage with the group. So thank you, Nick, and congratulations to you.
Thanks, Ebony. We're happy you're still with us.
Yes.
Cecilia, are you able to say hey?
Hey, I'm sorry, my internet is terrible. Let me know if this is why I don't have the camera on. Well, I'm Cecilia Saloni. I'm from Venezuela. I moved to Raleigh in 2003, and I have been working with the Latino community since then in the del Pueblo, which is a Latino advocacy organization. I joined this, I am new in this committee, and I joined because I'm architect. I love, my passion was develop cities. I couldn't do it in Venezuela, but my experience is mostly with low income housing. But be part of the history of this city, which is beautiful. It is amazing. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I also work with the city of Raleigh in be sure that all the activities that we have and the cultural activity that we have are accessible for everyone. And that's another piece of my experience that I can bring to the table. And I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cecilia. We heard you perfectly, so that was great. Happy you're with us. Ashton, I know you've kind of introduced yourself, but would you mind going again?
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations, because that feels like the thing that we all are leading with, and that's an exciting thing for you. So yeah, I am Ashton Smith. I have been in Raleigh most of my life, was actually not born here and spent a couple of years living abroad while I was teaching English as a foreign language. Saying that though, I have spent many years dreaming about what the park could be before it was even something owned by the city, and was really honored to have helped lead the Master Plan Advisory Committee. So I am a returning member. Professionally, I work in technology at Citrix, and that used to be downtown, and maybe one day I'll be back downtown for work anyway again. And the thing I think I'm most excited about for this park is really how it can connect our entire city, all of our institutions, all of our nonprofits, how it can bring a whole community in the region together and be that great, inspiring civic space that I think we're all kind of aspiring to have it be. And one of the things that I see as kind of my role in this group is helping to ensure that we're getting input from as many different areas of our community as we possibly can.
Thank you, Ashton. Good to hear from you and good to see you.
And sorry, I'm very bad at using the Zoom chat.
No, you're great. A couple folks off camera. Walter, are you able to say hey?
Hey there, everyone. Give me a little bit. I'm having a few connection issues, so if we could.
Sure
thank
thing.
you,
I'll come
appreciate
back to you. Our Nursey, are you with us?
Hi, yes, I am. It's good to see y'all. I know y'all can't see me. I'm cooking right now at the moment, but my name is Arnesty. I'm a new member to the committee. I'm so excited to be joining with y'all today. Just working with y'all, period. I'm a little young buck. I'm only 27 and I'm new to the area, but I'm excited to really dig into like the history of Dorothea Dix and making it a great place for everybody to go to. So that's it.
Wonderful. We're very happy to have you with us. Ariel, are you with us this evening?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Ariel Bichelle. I am a long resident here in Raleigh. I currently work for the State Board of Elections, but I did work for the Wake County Board of Elections. I just got a job at the state. So the previous meetings, I was missing all of them, of course, because it was madness, but now I am locked in, I have free time, so I'm good to go to start participating. But I'm looking forward, to all the work that, we're going to do in Raleigh. I'm currently getting my master's in natural resource management and policy. So I'm very into, I'm very into environmental policy and conservation. So I'm just looking forward, to just making Raleigh a more sustainable place, and of course, increasing the well-being for everyone and all the residents here. So nice to meet everybody, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone.
Thanks, Ariel. Happy to have you with us. Walter, are you ready? You may be the last one I have on my list. Okay, we may save a little time at the end if Walter's able. Is there anyone else that's with us this evening that has not had the opportunity to introduce themselves? I've been trying to keep track, but I don't want to leave anyone out. So if you are here and you haven't said hey, we'd love to hear from you. You can send a note in the chat or speak up now. Okay. I hope everyone has enjoyed the introductions as much as I have. I don't say this flippantly. Having y'all be involved in this project is as important as anything that we can share with you. The reason we do this and the reason we have these committees is because we care about the community, and this project means nothing if it doesn't actually respond to the community's desires for the project and creating a space for everyone to feel welcome. And we hope that this committee has a really critical responsibility in actually accomplishing that goal. I am going to share my screen again and move this forward. I'm going to ask Kate to give an update for some projects that are kicking off and actually well underway. So give me 1 second to pull that back up.
Well, while Nick's pulling that up, I just want to echo what he said. I'm so excited that the group's getting back together. It's been a while since we've seen each other, and there's so much work to be done. I'm just looking forward to everyone getting involved and participating however you would like to participate. So I think the theme of my 2 slides, I tried to pack a lot into 2 slides, is a lot of stuff, exciting stuff is going to happen in February. And it's a long time coming for some of the projects. And we really wanted to kind of preview some of this with you and provide some opportunities to get involved in a different way. So while Nick's screen is coming up, I think the first is we've been working with a number of different groups on creating a signage package for the park. So this is going to be wayfinding, so help you get around from point A to point B. It's also going to be, there's a lot of historical signage, and we've worked with a number of different people, from Danny, who's on this call, to people with lived experiences, to professional editors, to really craft some signage that's going to help tell the story of the park through time. And so we're excited. That's all going to be getting going within the next 2 weeks. And hopefully people will love it and use it and find their way around the park more easily. The second is through the Conservancy, we've also worked on a couple of early park improvements. And so we're creating some amenities in the park, like what we're calling right here, this picture in the middle, we're calling this the Magnolia Room. It's surrounded by magnolia trees. It's right near the sunflower field. And so things like new accessible walkways, swings, water fountains, shade structures with picnic tables, trash cans, grills, benches, really just trying to provide some amenities for people to use while the park is developing. We've got 2 of these rooms going in, 1 on each side of the park, and then we're installing a number of benches and swings along the big field, and we're installing a hammock forest. So I think some really great amenities to provide the daily park visitor experience, something new to do. The project that I'm super excited, and we will be following up this meeting with scheduling some tours, is the renovation of the chapel. So Nick has been leading this project for the city. The chapel will be our first indoor space. What you're seeing in this picture on the right is the view from the 2nd floor to downtown. This used to be all covered up. And so we're really opening up the chapel to downtown. And we really want to invite y'all in, give you a hard hat tour of the new space, because this will be, whenever we can meet in person, this will be the place where we meet. So it'll become our home away from home within Dix Park. So look for that email to schedule those chapel tours. It's really exciting work. I'll also just give a shout out to Lauren Weldeshofer and Joey Vasca on the city team that have been leading a lot of the early park improvement and signage projects. So next slide, Nick. In addition, we've got 2 very different but very exciting things happening in February. One is the Creek RFQ. So we were successful in securing 4 grants from different agencies to fund the Creek feasibility work. That project is out for consultants to submit proposals. We expect getting all of those proposals back on February 12th. And we'll kick that work off. So that is a huge step forward for the Creek project. And then you're the first group to hear it. We will be installing the new pop-up disc golf course over by the flower field. They tell me this one's going to be a little more difficult. It's going to have longer, I'm not going to use the right word, throws than the one we installed back in October. But in partnership with NC State University, we're installing a 9-hole disc golf course that'll be open for a couple of months. It was so popular. We had over 15,000 people participate during the 1 month it was up back in October. So you can just understand the demand for these things. So lots of stuff happening. All of it is happening in February. It's taken a lot of time to get us there, but we wanted to give y'all a kind of sneak peek of it, and then also offer these kind of hard hat tours to get you into the space at the chapel to see some of that. So stay tuned, more to come, but just some exciting project updates for everyone to know about.
Thanks, Kate. And just to add to that, these are the other projects besides the Plaza and Play, which we spent a lot of time with this committee talking about. So that's still going on, not included here since y'all have had separate updates. Before we move any further, is there any questions that we can answer here? We do have a little time. If there's anything on those specific updates that Kate shared that we can answer now. One of the things we'll touch at the very end of this is allowing space for y'all to preview some of these projects and give some early feedback. So we'll talk about that when we get to action items at the end of the meeting today. Any questions? I can take them in the chat, but also over video. Any questions for the team? Well, we have staff here on the call at this point from what you've heard.
I have a quick question about the Magnolia area near the sunflower fields.
Please. Yeah.
You said that there were going to be a hammock. There was going to be a hammock forest. What does that mean?
Great question. So, So the hammock forest, we're actually going to install along the big field, and working with our parks team, we're going to create hammock holders. Is that the right? Hammock stakes? I don't know what the right word is, where people can hook up their own hammock, but we'll also have some hammocks out there. So it's creating this cozy little hammock grove. Because if you go out there on a sunny day, hammock stands, thank you, Joey. You'll see people bring out their own all the time, but we thought we would provide them some amenities for people that don't have their own hammock or would like to not stake it to a tree.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And I'll respond to the questions in chat and we can keep going, Nick, if that sounds good.
Yeah. Any other questions on projects while we look at the chat as well? Joey, I think there was a question. I tried to promote you to be able to present on the timelines for the disc golf course. And maybe Kate can help with that as well.
Yeah, we'll right now we're considering, I think it's a 2-month installation, and then we'll look for another spot. The disc golf course is extremely popular, so we'll evaluate it, and then it might move again. And so we like to kind of rotate it around the park. And I think a committee disc golf tournament is an amazing idea. I'm terrible, so I'll be I guess I'm not actually a part of the committee. I'm inviting myself, but we can think about all of those things for something fun for us to do together. The signage.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. The signage.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are currently, the signage is going in English, but with a link to a online version that will be able to be translated. So we've been working really hard to get the content down, and then are providing, we don't think we're going to do QR codes because there's some accessibility issues with QR codes, but we are looking to translate basically recreate all of the signage that can be accessible through your mobile device easily and can be translated into multiple languages.
And Joey answered in the chat, the disc golf course is opening this upcoming weekend through the end of March. And that announcement to the public will happen tomorrow afternoon. So that is a preview of that. So look out for that on our social media. Anything else before we continue to move on? Okay, as always, feel free to keep populating the chat with questions and we can get to it. I am going to now introduce the main meat of the meeting tonight to launch our next form of committee involvement. And just kind of to set us up, I thought it'd be a good idea to give a brief overview of the different ways to be involved. One of the difficulties in launching this committee and not having the ability to meet in public is involvement in the different projects and opportunities can be difficult to follow and find, and we understand that. We know that y'all are involved many times for specific reasons and want to have specific contributions to something that's passionate to you or something you have expertise in. And we also know that there are some things that are appropriate to bring to this committee that may not be appropriate to bring to the larger community. And we are endeavoring to provide a varied list of opportunities to accomplish some of those goals. And the different forms of involvement so far have been primarily in our full committee meetings. We've had 4, I believe, of those meetings. This is our 4th. And in those, we provide activities and opportunities that are relevant for the entire committee. So a good example for that is an activity related to the Plaza and Play. We gave a preview for the first public meeting and garnered some feedback on that to help inform that public meeting. And we'll continue to do that for our 3rd public meeting, which will happen here in a couple months. Also, it's a good forum when we're all together to give project updates, similar to what we've been doing today. There's a lot that's happening at the park, and we want to make sure that everyone is aware so they can be excited, get informed, and share that information out to your community. We will continue to do that and give these updates. But we know that the full committee meetings aren't really the best venue for a lot of these smaller conversations. And because of that, we have different opportunities that we've provided. For instance, we have some project-specific engagement opportunities that are maybe not appropriate or can't happen in this full group forum, but are really critical to some of the priority projects that we're pushing forward at the city and the Conservancy. The primary example is our Plaza and Play focus groups. We had 2 rounds of focus groups that a lot of the members here were involved in that gave specific feedback in general programmatic areas related to that project and that design. And that information has been really critical in improving the design that's still moving forward for the Plaza and Play project, and we'll continue to ask for involvement in that type of way. Another example is engagement around our projects, and Trey led an opportunity to put out information for the public meeting in the form of door hangers. And that was a concrete way for committee members to be involved, to have a hand in publicizing and providing some project-specific engagement and being involved in that way. We've also had some ad hoc opportunities where we've reached out to individual committee members. We know everyone on this committee has a lot of expertise in certain areas, and we want to use that in the best way we can in our project. So a good example here is we used a couple members who had some experience in the selection of public artists to help in the chapel artist selection. And they were able to steward us through that project, provide feedback, and help in the actual selection of the artist who is doing artwork in the chapel project. Another example is we've had several members provide text review for our first signage project, as Kate mentioned. This is critical in making sure all of the communications and text signage that we have is authentic to the community. And this is a really representative body that we have in this committee. And we've reached out to individual members to participate in that way, which has strengthened that project and made it so that we feel comfortable with the language that's being shared with the community. Those ways will continue, those engagement opportunities will continue to be offered, but we want to provide another level. This is most commonly going to be known as our subcommittees. We're calling them task forces, which is a little bit different. But the purpose of using that language is they're really narrow in scope. A lot of times we found that when we have subcommittees or groups that are formed around a certain cause, it's tough to work towards a certain deliverable. So what we're going to try to introduce with our task force is our 4th avenue of involvement is something that's really narrow in scope, that's based on the priority topics for the park, for the community, and for our committees that are finite in time. They're going to operate over 1 calendar year. And because of that, they will have really finite deliverables that we'll work towards to set as a goal to keep the momentum, because that's one thing that we want to, that this group is tasked with, is keeping the momentum across our projects. The majority of the work in these will actually happen outside of our committee meetings, and I know y'all are willing to do so. That's part of the commitment you made to this group. There will be reporting back that will happen at our normal committee meetings, because we do want to share with a larger group what our subcommittees or task forces are working on. So those will happen at our quarterly meetings. And it's really important to note here that they're staff and committee led. The leadership group for this committee has been involved in conversations for establishing these groups, and they'll also be involved with leading and selecting members to be in these groups. The calendar, the brief kind of schedule, we're launching these with this meeting. The actual sign up and will happen through a survey that will go out in this post-meeting recap. And then the groups will report back in our spring and summer meetings. And then the final report will be in the fall, and we'll wrap up the work for this subcommittee for this calendar year so that we can take the winter months to reset, to see what and how our priorities have shifted for the project. There may be some task forces that are appropriate to roll over if there's another phase of work that can happen. For instance, one of the task forces that Trey's leading is related to engagement, and that's going to continue to be a priority. So most likely that committee will roll over to the next year. Well, that'll allow us some time to reassess our priorities for the committee and for the park, and reestablish our committees in the next winter months. I'm going to now, if this will load, introduce the subcommittee groups for the task force groups for this upcoming year. These are based on, as I mentioned, several different factors. The first being, let me see if I can pull that up here. First being, as Kate mentioned, the second phase of early park improvements. We've all been out to the park. We know that while this park is a great open space, the amenities that you see in a traditional park are not there in many cases. And this is our first attempt to provide those comfortable park amenities, park benches, providing swings and some play equipment. And we have a really solid foundation happening in our first phase of improvements. But what we want to do with this second phase is provide another round of improvements that are based on community needs and desires for the space. So this task force is intended to help develop that second list. The immediate benefits of having the on-ground at the park visitor experience is something that we've heard from the committee members as a desire. We want to see some short and middle term actual actions at the park. So this is a really good way to be involved in that way. So not only will these members help develop this list, but they'll be involved with opportunities in being at the park and doing these things with their hand, putting park benches in, helping develop trails. That's a priority project we hear, is that there's not a trails systems at the park. And that's something that would be a really good phase 2 early improvements project. So this is based on community feedback and park needs, and something that I think is really excited, really exciting opportunity for involvement in the development of our phase 2 of this work. The second group I've alluded to, and I wish Trey was here. He's not feeling well. I think I mentioned that, but he would be presenting because this is the group that he's leading. This is our kind of outreach and engagement avenue. We view this committee as a whole as a conduit to the larger community, but this specific task force is working to lead the focused conversations around how is the park perceived in the community? What are the misconceptions that the community has about the park, about how the park's funded, about the different projects and the priorities, and who Dix Park serves? There will be space that will be held with this focus group and just having those conversations, allowing Trey to ask y'all to say, what have you been hearing in the community? What are the things that we can address through engagement? What are the different partners that we can work to cultivate in building this base of support for the park? And also that hands-on opportunity of being involved in the engagement and outreach opportunities. It looks different in COVID times, as we all are very well aware, but these opportunities do still exist. And there's a list that Trey has developed and staff has developed of really incredible opportunities to do so, that maybe are not tied to specific projects, but more general outreach in building the broader community support. The overall impact of this group is building support and increasing awareness for the affinity of the project. One of the things that has been pushed back previously was a park bond, and at some point we would like, and we think that there is an opportunity for another park bond, and that requires a really strong base of support to support all of our projects. And this group will help develop that and be involved in the conversation to set the strategy and the goals and objectives for that work. The third is our park partnership process. This is originating at really a staff and park need level. We have an incredible opportunity, we collectively as staff, but also as a community, of as this park develops, bringing in a wide range of park partners into this process. And we feel that an equitable and proactive approach to selection and identification of partners is a really critical piece in leading towards a more equitable distribution of the opportunity of Dix Park, but also the benefits that Dix Park can share with the community. So this group is actually going to be on the ground level of developing an evaluation process for our partner selection and identification. We have some really incredible student work that will serve as the basis of this, and we'll kind of start there. But a lot of our opportunities will center around both programming, but also the buildings. There is a significant number of buildings on the park property, and this group can share some ideas about partnerships that could make use of some of the incredible spaces and opportunities that these buildings present. So this specific subcommittee will have a longer term, longer return. Rather than our early park improvements, which is something you'll see on the ground within a number of months. This will be more on the long-term planning and strategy for the development and the implementation of the master plan of Dix Park. And the fourth and final group is park equity planning. If you've been involved in this project for throughout the master plan and this early phase 1 implementation plan, you've heard us talk about the equity planning for the park. And we are continuing to make progress there and are ready to involve the committee in some ways to help development of this work. This is based on a recommendation directly from the master plan and something that we hear continuously in the community. And we've heard it today in some of our committee member introductions about being passionate about sharing the equity and developing the equity of this park. So the impact of this work is the continued development towards an equity plan, ensuring the equitable distribution of park impacts and benefits and opportunities. We have some strong reference work and strong work to date to build off of. So we are in no means starting from scratch here, but we're really excited to engage the committee in helping develop this process, identify partners, identify long-term objectives and goals, and eventually get us to the point where we have a planning document that we can build off of specific to the equity of Dorothea Dix Park. So that is a lot, and I apologize for talking straight through here. I'd like to provide some space to answer some questions on this. The immediate next steps are I'm going to share some documents to allow y'all to read through how each one of these groups is going to operate, and then self-select into a task force if you so desire. And that'll come in the form of our survey at the end of this week. And we really do hope for those looking to find an extra avenue of involvement in the project. If one of these strikes your fancy, we really hope that you'll be involved. We're looking for 5 to 10-ish members for each one, and the leadership for this committee, Shauna, Jay, and Eric, are going to help with the assignment when we get to that stage. So that's kind of the next steps. But any questions that we can answer from this initial barrage of information at this point?
I have a question. Is it possible to be a part of more than one task force?
That's a great question. I think that the answer is most likely yes, if you so desire and you think that you can devote the time. I know that we have a large group of folks here, and if we get a lot of individuals expressing interest in each one of the committees, and we think that for some reason there's too many people, then maybe we'll ask you to prioritize. But if maybe one or two are areas you're interested in and you think you have the capacity, then absolutely.
Yeah, I think one of the goals, and Nick may have mentioned that, is this is a really large group, right? And we would love to provide an opportunity for smaller groups to get together to really focus on some of these really important pieces of the park development. And so echoing everything Nick said, but that idea of a smaller group, focused, very flexible, very responsive, doing some good work, I think will really benefit kind of where we are today and hopefully provide you a way to get more involved if you're interested.
Yeah, and with that, I know we had talked about, and this is Jay, if you're not on one committee, that doesn't mean that you'll be precluded from knowing what's happening in that committee. It's not as though if you say equity, well, you'll find out about partnering later. You know, all of us are part of all these committees at some level, but there'll be a core group that'll be focused on moving the work forward. And as we get together in these larger ComCom meetings, we'll have an opportunity to see where we're at. And throughout that process, if you hear something that's like, hey, this would be great for partnerships, you can shoot that in and it can be taken into account so that people have an opportunity to engage as deep or as shallow as they are able to in these various areas.
The only thing that I would add, Shauna, Stephanie, is I agree. There's going to be some things that are just they're interwoven. And so it's going to make sense that as we progress through things, what we start with, of course, will evolve. And as things evolve, there's going to be some intricate details probably that will include people that might not be serving on that committee for a period of time. And so I think, you know, we're open to all those things. So I don't want people to hear you're going to have one assignment and you have to stay right there. We know there's so much interwoven throughout this project, but to echo what's already been said without saying it again, without too much, is that, you know, we really do want to be mindful of it's taken a little bit of time for us to get to where we are right now because of COVID, because of holidays, because of life. And we're finally really able to get to a place where we're going to launch. And so I'm really excited about that. And just, you know, hold tight to all the things that you're excited about this project and know, you know, Jay, Eric, and I, as well as the Conservancy and the city staff are here to hear concerns, questions, anything like that. I know it's been quiet. And so I apologize for that, but we won't be as quiet moving forward because we've got a lot to do.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the question about whether there is going to be the opportunity to bring in experts to be subcommittee meeting, you know, have perhaps some subcommittee conversations that really go technical.
Yeah, absolutely, Merrick. I didn't mention, but each one of these subcommittee task forces will have a staff assigned to them and also probably have a committee leadership assigned to them. And each group will operate in the way that's most appropriate for them. So for instance, Myrick in park partnerships, which is something I know that you're interested in, if it comes to the point where there's an expert that we need to bring in for a separate conversation, absolutely, if it's appropriate to the group, that's something that the group would be willing to do and support. So yes, we have a work plan for each one of these groups, and each work plan will be catered to the needs and deliverables as established. But absolutely, that's an opportunity. Jackie asked a question in the chat that I want to respond to. I shared the schedule and it had 2 launches, and the reason I was showing that was to try to share that the committees as established, this first round for 2020 will exist between really January and the October date, and they'll have a finite end of work so that in the following winter, in the winter of 2022, when we get to the end of the year, staff can assess and then have a launch for the committees for the following year. And that allows us to be accountable to the work that we want to achieve in this first year and set really discrete deliverables and scopes of work for each group to hopefully wrap up. And if that doesn't happen and we need to bleed over into another round, then that will occur. But there will be kind of separate launches each year. And another thing to remember is committee members, y'all will, when your terms are up, you'll have the opportunity to either re-up if this is your first term you're serving, you can re-up for a second term, or we can bring in new members if you're not able to make the commitment or don't want to be involved anymore. And this will allow us to bring in new members into the fold and get them up to speed as we launch the next year's round of task forces. So Jackie, I hope that answers your question. Great. Anything else that we can address here with the group? Okay, well, feel free at any time to reach out. I want to hit one more note that Shauna mentioned. The task forces and the ways that we've been outlined and for involvement are not going to capture everyone's interests for the park. And we recognize that. I hope that you don't take that as your interests and the way you want to be involved are not important, because that's not the intent. We want to hear from you. If there's things that you want to be involved in and you're not seeing where that fits in, please reach out. We'll connect you with the right resources, or we'll add it into our work plan, because the things that y'all are interested in are just as important as the things that we have as priorities for the park. So please feel free to do that at any time. I am going to wrap up with some of our committee action items. So these are the period for next steps. And then, since we do have a little bit of extra time, open the meeting up for any general comments. The task force selection survey, I mentioned before, this will be our next steps in getting y'all into each of individual groups, and then each group will have its own way of communicating and its own kind of goals and objectives for the group. So that will happen in the recap email. We do have a number of previews and tours that we are going to share signups for with you. The first of these is the Chapel tour on the 23rd and the 24th of this month. We have blocked off 2 evenings, and we have hour-long chunks of tours that we're going to limit to 10 individuals per group to keep us in alignment with our kind of city procedures around COVID. We would love to show you this space. We're really, really excited with our first public building for the community. And we hope you'll take the opportunity to come see the space. We're really excited to show it off. So those will, the sign up for that will be in the email that we'll share. There's also a number of other project previews that are yet to be scheduled. We would love to do as mentioned, a launch for the disc golf course, and maybe we could set aside a certain day that we hope committee members can join us out at the park. Also, when we get into the construction of our phase 1 early improvements, our Magnolia rooms, our rooms that were created, our first park amenities, we would love to share those with you and set a time for the committee to meet us at the park, talk through the design and development process, and get that first insider peek of those opportunities. And finally, we continue to offer site tours for the Plaza and Play project. Grayson is leading those, and we had a conversation today about making sure that this committee has the opportunity and is aware of the site tours. We before we get into our next update, which will happen at our following committee meeting, Grayson has some really incredible updates for the space and for the project as it develops, and I'll share some opportunities for y'all to get to the site and to take that tour, to have that hands-on early sneak peek experience. So those are the next action items, and the next things we'll look that you'll see from us as staff, primarily the survey, which will come at the end of the week. But that's all I have in terms of formal agenda. I would like to open the space, since we have a little time before we ask Shauna to close. Any other general questions, anything related to the park or to the committee that we can answer today before we close? Or anything that's staff, City Conservancy staff, or committee leadership would like to share? Yeah, Bill, I see you.
Okay. The fields out at the park they're waterlogged just because of all the rain that we've had. And some of that water is just sitting out there right now. It's not deep pools, but 2 or 3 inches. If we start Frisbee golf out there next week, y'all are probably going to have a challenge with field conditions, particularly where that looks like it's going to be laid out. So I would just put that as an asterisk. You're probably already aware of that, but it's going to take a while for those fields to dry out. So, and around the Magnolia circle that you're doing too, that's going to have the same issue. If any equipment comes in, it sinks at 5 or 6 inches real quick. Just an FYI.
Yeah, Bill, you're absolutely right. Water is definitely an issue we're dealing with on the site right now. It's ponding everywhere. Also, our poor dog park is very saturated right now as well. So we're working through some of those items and being mindful of that, but thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, Grayson, I know you had something you want to mention to the group?
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello and thanks for all the mentions of the Plaza and Play progress. And I am working diligently on getting a few site walks, as Nick mentioned. We will also send you the links to the design updates that were done at Public Meeting 2 and the most recent Leadership Committee meeting. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is we have our interactive website where you can go and provide feedback. And there is a post-meeting survey that will be up until next Friday. So welcome you to put some input there. And we will also be posting, hopefully by the end of this week, what we're calling a flip book that is just a quick PDF that shows some highlights of the design. Just wanted to make sure everyone was familiar with what's going on, and hopefully I'll see you on a site walk soon. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Anybody else questions for the group here this evening?
Not a group, but just a request slash comment from the public meeting. One final thing, as we were prepping for the meeting, we were asked to kind of gather our thoughts, and as I was doing that, and I know Shauna and others, part of it is, how does this park fit into the picture, and how does it resonate with the people you're talking to? And as you all are going out into your communities and talking to folks, as you're asking that question of others, if you could capture that and share that back with us in any way you can, that will really help inform how we need to adjust or develop our messaging for other projects. And we have a lot of things with these community committees and task forces that are coming down the pike, but it's how do we ensure that we can get folks to rally around the vision for this? And in order to do that, there are other projects happening. There are countless priorities for a city our size, but in order to do that, I challenge you guys and ask you to think about, how does this fit into our larger picture of what we believe in a city? I think Nick said it really well, those disparate communities and varying groups. And then how is this resonating with the people you're talking to? And then if you can capture that and share it back with us, that will really help inform where we want to take this project in all aspects.
Thanks. Thank you, Jay. Kate, maybe a question for you. Myra cast the latest thinking about the bond referendum and how that works with this upcoming year.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Last week at City Council, Stephen Bentley shared kind of a very high level discussion of the schedule for the council's discussion on the potential parks bond. And we'll make sure to put that. There's going to be a lot in that post-meeting follow-up, Nick, but I'll give you the highlights of it. Right now, the Parks Board is looking at system-wide priorities and having a discussion about what the potential parks bond. They'll make a recommendation to council. In early March, there is potentially a city council retreat that the parks bond will be part of that retreat. In April, the council will decide on amounts and direct staff on project priorities. In May, the council prioritizes the actual final list of park projects. In June, they vote on the kind of intent and amount of the bond. And then July and August, there are public hearings. And then October, there would be a referendum. The current thinking is that there will be kind of one overall parks bond that'll include a number of different projects, including Dix Park. So it'll support the entire system, including Dix Park. And I think you'll see, and we'll make sure you're updated, but they've basically laid out the schedule of how those conversations will unfold, and it'll really be up to council to decide how much for what parks throughout the system. Is that good? Thanks.
Kate in the chat, Jackie asks, is the bond plan for 2021 or 2022?
The bond is planned to go out to public vote October 2021. And then if that happens and that's successful, that means we would have money to do projects starting the next fiscal year, which is really exciting. Just to put it in context, the bond is the major way that the city of Raleigh pays for capital park projects. It's the major way the city builds parks. So we don't have like a large annual capital program. It's the bond is the real way to build parks and maintenance of existing parks.
And presumably that's the same day as municipal elections?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
It's that long part on the back of your ballot and you kind of skip over all the words and you bubble yes or no. That's basically what that would be.
That's right.
Ariel, we'll have to look to your expertise to.
Yep, I got y'all dates and everything. Let me know.
I do want to remember Walter. Walter, are you with us? Able to say hey? Okay, maybe next time.
Well, Walter is a returning member. He's awesome. He is a professional drone pilot. Y'all are going to really love getting to know him. I'm sure he'll introduce himself at the next meeting. But he's a great member and contributor to this.
Nick, is the next meeting April 20th?
Hey, Sarah. The next scheduled one is Grayson and I are speaking about the Plaza Play schedule because we want to make sure that this group can preview our next public meeting materials. So we are looking to schedule what's going to be called a special meeting for that. So that may be adjusted to account for that. But our next confirmed meeting is on that date. Anything else will be sent through email and make sure y'all have plenty of heads up. But that's a good question. Something that a change that may be coming or an addition that may be coming. Nick, Neptune, did you have something you want to bring to the group?
I had a question. Thank you, Nick, for Janet Cowell, if she's still with us. You know, just assuming she is, I think there she is. Hello, Ms. Cowell. It's good to see you. We've not had the pleasure of meeting, but I do look forward to meeting you in person, hopefully one day soon. Very, very excited to have you, obviously as a part of this endeavor. From what I understand, if I'm not mistaken, you've actually been serving on the board of the Conservancy for some time, if I'm not mistaken. But I think more than that, you're a former, I think, state treasurer, a former state senator. I mean, basically, people, it's a very big deal, okay, if I might say so, that we have Janet Cowell with us as the president and CEO of the Dix Park Conservancy. So what I'm excited about, and if I may ask, is, from Janet Cowell's position, what is she most excited about as it relates to Dix Park today, Dix Park tomorrow, and how can we as the community committee support her and the Conservancy and the city staff in that work? Janet Cowell, over to you.
Nick, thank you for that. I appreciate that question. So, I mean, I've loved listening to all of this. Of course, I was eating my dinner that's why I have my video off. I take an expansive view of this as well, right? It's bigger than just a park. It is the gathering space. It has the opportunity to transform the city. I view it as almost, when I was interviewing, I was like, I see this as almost like a Marshall Plan. Like the whole section, that southern section of the city that went through bad 1960s and 70s urban renewal. It sliced up neighborhoods. It disconnected us from Southeast Raleigh. It, you know, I mean, there's so much potential in this project, both from the physical landscape, but then as you talk about the spiritual, emotional hopefulness, right, of coming together on a land that has such a, you know, rich and sometimes troubled history, right? So, you know, I see all those things, and that's why I felt compelled. I just feel like it is very important for the future of the city and the state. And I will say, just on a more technical aspect, I'm excited with the public-private partnership, because I know there's a lot of concerns by people about private, you know, people playing in public spaces. But I've also seen the limitations of government, having served, you know, 15 years in elected office. And I do think there are some very innovative things we can do and have proof points here in the park, starting with the chapel, to show how you can be really progressive and inclusive and community oriented, but maybe use private flexibility in ways that could help other cities and, you know, in our state do things better and faster. So that's some of my answer.
I love it, and it's a great answer. Thank you, Janet. I appreciate that. I think I hear in you, you know, truly a sense of the magnitude of the park and the potential impact it may have and can have and should have on, frankly, the day-to-day lives of the citizens who live, you know, both near it and next to it, all around the city, and frankly, all across this region. And that's very exciting to hear. And I can see why you were elected multiple times and why you're here with us today. And it really it means a lot to hear you state that. So thank you.
Hey, Bill, go ahead.
I have 2 questions for Kate, but they'll be fun. One, Kate, since we're not getting back together again for 2 months, we've got something popping up out there in the flower fields, sort of about 3 or 4 inches tall now, that the new folks may not be aware. And then I'm not sure what the status is going to be of the sunflowers with these days of COVID, but you might just want to touch on that, just so we kind of know people will be asking.
Yes, so Bill's referring to probably within the next, well, depending on the weather, the Daffodil River will bloom again in the flower field. So you will see a river of daffodils pop up. We have been very mindful of designing the disc golf course around it, and there will be signage to protect the Daffodil River, but that'll be popping up soon. Regarding the sunflowers, we will have that conversation with city management and think about hopefully safe ways that we can plant the sunflower field this year, but we'll obviously defer to the city's kind of COVID task force on that. But that's always a crowd pleaser. It's outside. There might be some ways we can plant wider rows to be safer. So we're having all of those conversations right now.
Thanks.
Anything else, y'all?
The only other piece I thought I'd share, Nick, real quick is I just wanted to let y'all know, for those that weren't able to attend, Nights of Lights was kind of a big, amazing opportunity for us. Lots of lessons learned. Just as kind of summary, we think probably close to 65, 70,000 people attended over the 12-day period. That's based on the number of tickets scanned and kind of an average car capacity. And it was people from all over Wake County, which is very exciting. The highest concentrations being in Southeast and Northwest Raleigh buying tickets. And then really tickets were purchased from all over the United States, which is also, I think, pretty cool. I think it means a lot of people were potentially coming here for their holiday and buying tickets when their family got here. So Nights of Lights, huge shout out to Joey on that work. it'll most likely be an annual event, but I think it really speaks to the park's ability to hold these really large events that attract people from all over the region and country. So sorry, should have said that in my update, but forgot.
Okay. Shauna, you want to close this up for this evening?
First of all, if I didn't really love Nick Neptune, I'd be really mad at you. I'd planned on saying a really nice thing about Janet, and then you took my storm. So anyways, Janet, we're so happy to have you with us. Definitely look forward to getting to work and know you. And thank you to the entire Conservancy and city team. We know that you guys are really getting it. And we're excited. I think I can say we all here are really excited to get to work, having served on the master plan, knowing how long some things take and then how quick things move. We will have that same experience here because now we're coming into what's next, right? There's no new normal. We're going into what's next. And as we do that, we're going to have a lot more opportunity to be together, whether it's distanced or it is virtual, but we're going to have to incorporate more fun where we're not just talking at each other. So I really want to just put out there, and sorry, Jay and Eric, but please let us know how to improve this experience for you. There's going to be an element of updates, and that's just the way that we have to do business right now, where we can't be together having meals and being out at the park. But I went out today right before this meeting and snapped a picture. I think I have 19 to 45 of the same view. And I put, this is my Groundhog's Day view, right? It just never gets old. And I hope for those that can safely go out there, you get to go back out there and get recentered and don't pay attention to the water, pay attention to all the updates you heard today. Watch out for Nick's email, and then please stay in touch. And thank you all for your steadfast commitment to our community, because really there's so much work to be done, and we're going to have the bond and we're going to get it passed. And so we've got a lot of work to do. Thank you all.
Thanks, Shauna. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.